We've all seen those incredible images, right? The grand visions of humanity finally setting foot on the red soil of Mars. It is such a powerful dream, this idea of a second home out there among the stars. But here's the thing. Beneath that amazing dream lies a very, very harsh reality. Mars is an environment that is unbelievably unforgiving. So that really is the ultimate question. How do you actually live there? Because the biggest, most relentless threat, it isn't the cold, it's not the super thin atmosphere. No, it's something you can't even see. A constant, unending shower of high-energy cosmic radiation.
Okay, look at this number, 0.64 millisieverts per day. So what does that even mean? Well, that's the average dose of radiation you'd just be soaking up every single day standing on the surface. To put that into perspective for you, an astronaut on the International Space Station has a career limit for radiation. On Mars, you'd hit that limit in less than a year. It's a fundamental, absolute deal breaker of a problem.
So yeah, how do we solve for that? How do we survive against these fundamental perils of Mars? Well, for decades, the go-to answer has been pretty simple. Just build a bunker. The idea is to use the Martian soil, what we call regolith, as a giant shield. You just pile a few feet of it on top of your habitat, and bam, you're protected. I mean, it makes sense, right? You use the stuff that's already there. But, and this is a big but, that simple solution creates a whole new kind of problem. Sure, you might be surviving the radiation, but what's the human cost of living inside a cave for months or even years on end? This is what's known as the bunker mentality problem. This quote from the architects at Searching Clouds AO just hits the nail on the head. Designing for Mars isn't just an engineering puzzle, it's a human one. You can't just bury the entire human experience to stay safe. Think about what this bunker approach really means. Living without any natural light totally messes with your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythms. The psychological strain of being cooped up like that for the long haul is just immense. And maybe worst of all, you're completely cut off from the very landscape you traveled 300 million miles to go see. But wait, it actually gets worse. A lot worse. We've recently discovered that the Martian soil is laced with these nasty chemicals called perchlorates. They are seriously harmful to the human thyroid. So the very material that's supposed to be protecting the crew could actually be slowly poisoning them. Clearly, we need a much, much better idea. And this brings us to a major turning point, a radically different approach to living on Mars. It's a concept that doesn't hide from the environment, but actually embraces it. And get this, it won first place in a huge NASA design competition back in 2015. So let's just look at the two visions side by side. On the one hand, you've got the regolith bunker, buried, dark, heavy, potentially toxic. And on the other, you have the Mars Ice House, above ground, filled with light, protective, and it's a beacon. It's not a place to hide, it's a place to live. So what's the secret ingredient? It's just water, simple H2O. Turns out water ice is a fantastic radiation shield because all that hydrogen is great at absorbing dangerous cosmic rays. But unlike dirt, it does something absolutely magical. It lets visible light pass right through. And the best part? Mars has tons of it, just waiting right under a thin layer of dust. Okay, so the concept is brilliant, genius even, but how in the world do you actually build a giant igloo on Mars? Well, the construction process is just as innovative as the idea itself. It all starts with a single lander. First, it inflates this durable, transparent shell. It's called an ETFE membrane, and that creates a pressurized workspace. Then, robots on the outside start mining the ice from under the surface, and they feed it inside. That's where a different set of robots 3D print the shell of ice from the inside out. And that pressurized environment is the key. It stops the ice from just turning straight into vapor in the thin Martian air. You know, the original concept was so futuristic, it's amazing. It pictured these little mini builder robots that would literally climb up the very walls they were constructing, laying down these thin layers of ice as they went. I mean, what an incredible image of autonomous construction that is. Now, you might be thinking this all sounds a little bit like science fiction, but here's the crazy part. Technology is catching up. Just recently, researchers demonstrated a new way to 3D print ice in a vacuum. By spraying a superfine jet of water, the vacuum itself causes this rapid cooling that freezes it almost instantly. That breakthrough makes the whole icehouse concept more feasible than it has ever been. So, okay, We can build it, but what would it actually be like to live there? This is where the design goes from being just clever engineering to something, well, something truly profound for the crew. I want you to just imagine living inside this series of nested, see-through domes of ice. The lander that brought you there is at the very core. That's where your private quarters are. Just outside of that, there's a vertical hydroponic garden, giving you fresh food, oxygen, and this vital connection to something growing, to life. And all around you, through the ice, you have these incredible filtered views of the Martian landscape. But maybe the most revolutionary idea in this whole thing is what they call the interstitial yard. It's the space between the inner and outer ice shells. It's pressurized, so you're safe, but it's not fully heated. It lets the crew step outside their main living space without having to put on a full, cumbersome EVA suit. It's basically a front porch on Mars.
So when you put all of these elements together, the natural light, the views, the gardens, that unique yard, it all adds up to something so much more than a shelter. It creates an environment that's truly designed for the long-term psychological health of the crew. It's a place not just to survive, but to actually thrive.
The Mars Ice House, it's not just a building. It's a philosophy. It challenges all of us to look at these alien environments not as just obstacles that we have to bury ourselves under, but as a source of brand new materials and really elegant solutions. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. If we can build a home of light and ice on Mars, what else can we create from the worlds that are just waiting out there for us?